And what's up, you guys? Welcome to the Manga Grove. My name is Krisha, and this is today's daily analysis video. We are going to be covering Bitcoin and the status quo Chainlink. Why? Because I figured we'd stick to the status quo since I haven't done a daily video in about 2 days. I did take that weekend off, and speaking of the weekend, I hope each and every one of you had a brilliant weekend with your family and your friends and your loved ones, and you were just kind of busy kicking back, because that's essentially what I did. You know, it's a part of the whole mango mantra, so you can't really feel bad about it. You gotta know when to trade hard and play hard. So here we are, Bitcoin on the daily time frame. Now, as things stand on Bitcoin's daily time frame, I'm going to keep this fairly short. I don't think there's been too many developments on the chart. I think we're still in like a mini daily consolidation there. And as you can see, I'm noticing like a bull flag here. Okay, so now this could break either way. However, we will go over this in due time. What I first want to pan on over to is that weekly time frame. Why? Well, because we closed a weekly candle today, right? Today is a Monday, and so if we just zoom into that price action, that beautiful, beautiful price action. Now, there are quite a few things that transpired, okay, in that last weekly close. And the primary one being that Bitcoin actually closed over that major weekly cloud resistance that I have been looking at now for a very long time. Ever since we actually broke into the cloud, I was looking at that as the next major zone to be contested, okay, as resistance at the very least. So we actually cleared that. Now, in my past video with you guys, one of my previous videos, I think I did that on Friday or Thursday, I'd mentioned to you that just by Bitcoin taking out this region of resistance right here at around 11K, okay, we now effectively entered a new zone of price action, the new zone being 11K region, going all the way up to 11.9K. Okay, all the horizontals that I have marked on my chart right now are all major monthly and weekly horizontals. Okay, these are all the horizontals that I've derived from past price action. And as things stand, we are currently hovering over that weekly cloud resistance. Okay, we took that out. So just by that picture, if I have to just look at this picture alone, I do believe that the bulls have the edge here. Okay, this picture right now is bullish. There is no denying that, okay? The picture is bullish. Like I said, I've been mentioning this now time and time again. We have been in an uptrend ever since the coronavirus dump. Okay, and as things stand, I do believe that this, at the very least, wants to see continuation all the way up to that next major weekly resistance at 11.9K. Okay, it is going to be an if this then that, because as I'd mentioned earlier in the video, that Bitcoin is putting in like a flag formation on that daily time frame. Okay, and I do believe it's more of a symmetrical triangle. So you know how symmetrical triangles go, it can break in either direction, right? So we'll kind of boil down to those lower time frames in a bit. But as things stand on the weekly time frame, guys, this is a bullish picture. Okay, we have a green Ichimoku Cloud, we have a bullish TK cross. Price is currently living over the 10 SMA as well as that 21 EMA. Okay, we've been maintaining it as support now. We have 2 consecutive candle body closes, weekly candle body closes over the 10 SMA and over that major 11K region. Okay, and this is our first sort of pop right out of that weekly cloud resistance. So it's looking good so far. Now, this is what Bitcoin is doing on the weekly. It is in bullish territory. Okay, so now let's find on over to the daily time frame and see what we could be doing there. You know, heading on to the next couple of days leading into the next weekly close. And notice, guys, we're getting awfully close to the end of the month. Okay, we're about 10, 11 days away. And you guys know what comes in that first week of November. The first week of November is going to be a very eventful week. Okay, we have the major elections coming up. They're the most important elections in the world. So that's going to be quite the event. Now, just with that, I feel like we may want to see, you know, leading into that, perhaps, of course, this is like terrible speculation, but we may very well see, you know, additional consolidation. But I do think that the price action here, the technical analysis, is still what is going to tip you off ahead of time. Okay, and this is what I will be looking at irrespective of what the news is telling me. So anyways, Bitcoin on the daily time frame, if I just zoom out of this picture, you'll notice that ever since we broke out of that massive symmetrical triangle, okay, that was the same sort of, on the weekly time frame, that was the same consolidation I was showing you underneath that 11K region. Now, this box right here, from this yellow line all the way up to this pink line right here, that was that weekly 11K horizontal. That was that weekly zone of resistance I was telling you guys about. Okay, so we were putting in this consolidation pattern right here, symmetrical triangle, beautiful, higher low structure, lower high structure. However, we broke up in the direction of the overarching trend, which is still a bullish trend. Okay, so we broke up, and as things stand, I feel like Bitcoin is currently painting a bull flag of sorts. I do believe that this is a bullish picture. Okay, and why I believe it's a bullish picture, because well, first of all, I can see that we're holding the 10 SMA extremely well right now. Okay, the cloud is green. Now, for those of you who've been studying the Ichimoku Cloud, you guys know how important this TK cross is. Okay, we have a bullish TK cross above the cloud. That is bullish. Very, very bullish. Okay, so I'm looking at that as a strong bullish TK cross. The cloud is green, and we are currently holding and hugging that 10 SMA as support. All right, now as things stand on the daily time frame, while this is like that symmetrical triangle consolidation on top, I do believe that the bulls have the edge here as well. It's only if and only if we start losing that 10 SMA to the downside. Okay, will I be looking for continuation to the downside, coming all the way down here to that 21 EMA and giving that 11K region an official test? Okay, because notice ever since we broke out of that 11K region, we have not gotten that retest yet. And it's usually a classic play, right? We break, retest, and then continuation. But of course, it does not really have to happen always. It really sort of depends on how much buy pressure and sell pressure there is in the market and how bullish an underlying asset is. But so far on that daily time frame, Bitcoin is looking brilliant. Okay, it looks like it wants to pop up further. The one region of resistance I will be looking at the very least on that daily time frame, is going to be this region right here. I had that marked out with a line segment earlier, but I had sort of knocked it off to, you know, just make my chart a little neater for you guys to see. But yeah, I think it's going to be this region right here. Okay, now this is coming in at around that 11.5K region, 11,550-ish at the very least. That's the region that I will be gunning for. I want to see how Bitcoin reacts off of that daily resistance to figure out whether or not we're going to see continuation to the upside. If we do start living over that region at around 11,550, the next point, you guys already know the next point of the next target I will be looking at. The next target is going to be all the way up here, 11.9K. Okay, that is also the weekly resistance that we just went over. So yeah, this is what Bitcoin is doing on the daily time frame. I think it's looking brilliant. Let's also put on the Mango dynamic and see what the Mango dynamic is also looking bullish. We have a green trend, that's a bullish trend signal, as well as prices living well over the trend edge right there, which is sort of signified by that dotted line that you see on the chart. So the picture is bullish, okay? The dynamic is also green, so that is promising. That looks really good. Let's also pan on over to the 4-hour time frame and see what we could be doing leading up to the rest of, well, today. So wow, dynamic is green here too. Snap. Now, this is essentially what I was telling you about. I'm also going to go ahead and just switch on my cloud now. Okay. Now, I'd mentioned that bull flag on the daily time frame and, you know, marked by a symmetrical triangle. But it's not even about the overall sort of lines in general, right? It's more to do with the psychology and, you know, that overall structure, because at the end, patterns are also just trends, guys. Now, for those of you in the Mango C program, you guys are sort of aware of, well, the types of trends there are and the types of trend reversals, right? So patterns is essentially like a subset of that massive sort of umbrella. Okay, now that umbrella is what is important. It's about getting a good understanding of the umbrella. If you just understand that, not only are you going to be able to play the 4-hour time frame, but you are going to be able to play the weekly time frame, the monthly time frame. Everything just starts making sense very, very quickly. And what's really cool about this is that it is applicable on every chart, irrespective of what market you're playing. So trend structure, understanding the overall trend structure is very important. Now, as far as this goes, okay, now here's what I'm seeing. About to just get rid of, I'm actually going to get rid of the diagonals for this, okay? Forgive me for being all over the place today. But just to show you what I'm seeing, okay, we have one low that was set in here. Okay, this was October 12th. We had another higher low, okay? One more right here. And now I want to see whether or not this can put in another low. Of course, now this is subject to continuation to the upside, right? But that could potentially put in another higher low. And that's what I will be looking for that overall 4-hour uptrend to be intact. As far as the downtrend goes, now there was another diagonal marking the trend line from above, right? And that was a lower high structure, right? We have one high that was put in here. We have a lower high that was put in here. Now this was another lower high, right? So now it's about us taking out this wick high here for us to break that trend to the upside. And I want you to notice how that is lining up with that beautiful 11,550 region that I just spoke to you about on that daily time frame. Okay, taking out that region to the upside and closing, having consecutive candle body closes over that region, I will be looking at that as a break of that overall trend to the upside. Okay, if we start doing that, if we start living over that region, I will be looking for continuation. At which point I will be looking for the measured move of this beautiful symmetrical triangle. Okay, now for me, I was looking at this. I know some people are looking at candle body closes. Some are looking at both candle body closes and wicks. Okay, so it really depends on, the structure that you are looking at on your chart, but this is what I'm looking at personally. Okay, and I'm just highlighting it based on the lows and the highs that I see on the chart that I just marked out for you. All right, now if, say, we break somewhere, I don't know, here, whatever. Okay, can never really tell with time. But yeah, that structure, the measured move of that beautiful symmetrical triangle on the 4-hour time frame will take Bitcoin all the way up to $12,000. However, please notice that we do have weekly resistance coming in at 11.9K. Okay, if this sees continuation to the upside, if the structure breaks to the upside, I will also be looking for resistance to be met at around this region right here. Okay, I think this is going to be the major one that Bitcoin is going to contest. In times like this, depending on how, crucial a level is, I don't get too greedy on my trades in terms of really taking my profits and assessing whether or not I should take it, say, at 11.9K, or actually wait for that measured move to be hit. Usually if the level is very strong, I don't get too greedy and I probably just take off much of my position at that strong region of resistance. Okay, now of course this is subject to whether or not you are in a long or a short position. This would be a potential take profit level for me personally if I was long Bitcoin, okay, on those lower time frames. I'm currently not in any position, so just heads up on that. But however, please note that symmetrical triangles, because this is a symmetrical triangle, this also has equal probability of breaking to the downside. Right? And if we do start breaking, if this actually does break to the downside, this would take Bitcoin all the way down to 10,737. That's going to be past this major 11K region that we just very recently broke out of. And the same logic that I applied up there applies down here as well. Okay, when it comes to measured moves of any pattern, you need to assess whether or not there are major points of resistance or support that price could very well hit before actually meeting its measured move. Because if there are major points of resistance or support, there's a good chance that price is likely to have a stutter stop there. And there are a lot of times where price actually gets picked up on those regions. So these are all just, small little lessons in terms of actually playing measured moves, okay? Primarily measured moves, because I know some people, they really focus on that measured move. The measured move says this. You can't be too steadfast on that, right? Because whatever it is, the major weekly horizontals, not just weekly horizontals, you have monthly horizontals as well. That takes precedence over the damn measured move. So be careful with that. Don't just focus on the measured move, hoping to really wring out the trade for whatever it's got. But yeah, this is Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. Honestly, guys, if you just have to assess this relative to its EMAs and MAs and the cloud, it's still bullish. Okay, I want to see where the 10 SMA is coming in at, and then we can wrap up this Bitcoin analysis. And right now with this candle, okay, we have been holding that 21 EMA as well as that 10 SMA as well as that Tenkin as underneath support. Yes, I can see that the Kijun and the Tenkin are sort of converging there, so that may cross bearish, but we'll have to see. I do believe that if this sees sort of further continuation to the upside, that Tenkin is likely to switch direction as well. Another thing is that the cloud is green. We have a bullish ticket cross, and I want you to notice how we have a bullish crossover set up there with a 10 SMA over that 21 EMA. If we start continuing this trend to the upside, that is only going to strengthen even further, okay? So these are little signatures to watch out for. If we start taking out the 21 EMA as well as that Tenkin to the downside, there's a good chance that we come down to test this bottom diagonal, okay? That forms the overall sort of trend structure of that beautiful symmetrical triangle. Okay, so, and I want you to notice how that bottom diagonal is also in line with the 4-hour Kijun as well as 4-hour cloud support. So a good tell on that is if price starts closing underneath that 21 EMA. Okay, if we start doing that, there's a good chance we're coming down to test this region. We break that region to the downside, guys. that beautiful symmetrical triangle does break to the downside, at which point we lose the higher low structure. Okay, so these are little things to watch out for. So far, so good. Bitcoin is in bullish territory. Brilliant. Now let's quickly move on to Chainlink and see what Linkadink is up to. Linkadink. And what is she up to? Link on the 4-hour. Let's move on to the weekly, see where we closed on that weekly time frame. Did we do anything special? Is Link still being, well, you know, lazy, not moving? The thing with Link's chart is that it's like super volatile. When it starts to move, like it moves, you don't get a chance to get in. And then when it consolidates, like it's excruciating, where people just lose so much faith in the chart, even though like the gains have been pretty significant all year, right? Look at this. I mean, this uptrend has been intact since what? Where is this? Actually, we'll have to take it from here because this wick actually took out all of these lows here. But even if we do take it from here, this was March 2020. Like, we've been in an uptrend for a very, very long time now. So, it's still good. It's still a good chart. It is a very excruciating consolidation that it's been in. But hey, everything in due time, right? So now let's see what Chainlink is doing relative to its major weekly levels. And this was one level that I was looking at, that $11 region, and just look how we closed. And it has a habit of doing this where it'll sort of, give you hope on those intra-week timeframes, and then it just rips your heart out and closes underneath weekly resistance. So once again, yet again, we have held that $11 region as weekly resistance. Okay, we're still living under that on the weekly time frame. It's only if and only if we start closing weekly candles over that region will I be anticipating a move to the upside. Okay, in the meanwhile, be careful of volatility like this. You don't want to be caught in volatility like this. Okay, so always have an eye out on Chainlink's intra-week timeframes, because that is what's going to tip you off on how that next weekly candle is likely to close. Okay, so Chainlink is still, I believe, in a zone of consolidation just with this close. So the zone is still going to be from this $11 region going all the way down to volatility going all the way down to the 21 EMA. But be very careful, of the volatility on this chart. What's going to tip you off yet again is going to be those lower time frames. So let's get onto those lower time frames and see what Chainlink is up to there. So I'm currently on the daily time frame, and look at that. So much confusion, even with the cloud. Even the cloud is like, I don't know where you want to go, man. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Okay, so, but anyways, the cloud is red on the daily time frame. The bearish TK cross is still intact. We're nowhere close to crossing. I want you to notice how both those lines have gotten sort of parallel to each other. It's not trending in any direction. However, what's cool is that we still have that bullish crossover set up between the 10 SMA and that 21 EMA. So that's good. And yesterday's daily close, we closed over the 10 simple moving average. So now it's really going to boil down to whether or not we're going to see this candle close over the 10 SMA. Okay? If we see that, then there's a good chance that price may want to bust through that $11 region once again. But be careful of, that like this right now. Now, this is suddenly looking like one big fake out, right? We broke out of $11, and it was clearly a very, very important resistance overhead. We broke out, got all the way up to that weekly cloud. Okay, we got rejected at that weekly cloud resistance overhead, and then we had swift continuation to the downside, closing underneath that $11 region on the next daily close. And this is why Sean actually emphasizes on this a lot, in that when he sort of looks for, a trend to be established, especially when price is he's looking at price relative to its EMAs and its major horizontals, he's looking for an open and a close above. Okay, because a lot of times now he's had a lot of experience trading these charts, and he knows that a lot of times we have instances like this where price does open above a major point of, well, in this case, resistance, right? Only to lose it on the next candle, right? But these are like little, mini signatures that you see on certain charts. So, if you're playing a certain coin time and time again, you're sort of gravitating towards those charts. Take some time to, find signatures on these charts. Now, another signature, I believe Hachi yesterday, had a trade on Chainlink, and he was telling in the Mango C chat, he was telling us about how he managed to, he took the trade. Okay, he got invalidated, but then he still got out unaffected because Chainlink gave him that beautiful retest. Usually when it breaks the point of resistance, it gives people that beautiful retest to get out of their position if they're on the wrong side of the trade. Okay, and more often than not, those retests are generous enough to allow you to get out in a profit. Now, that's what happened to me on my last Chainlink trade. I spoke to you guys about that in my last video, so you guys can go and check that out. But Hachi went through something very, very similar. Now, this is a signature on Chainlink's chart. Other charts may have other various signatures. So, if you are someone who trades, a coin time and time again, spend some time and look for those signatures, because that's going to be the determining factor. That's going to be your edge, man. Okay, so now this is Chainlink on the daily. Let's quickly move on to the 4 hour and wrap this baby up. And the 4 hour, and this is what I mean, if you're looking for a tip off on where the trend is heading leading up to the next weekly close, boil down to those intra-week time frames. Now, the primary one I've been telling you guys about is the 4 hour. Okay, every time Chainlink loses the 21 EMA to the downside, there's a good chance that we're getting into a little either consolidation or we're moving into a downtrend. Okay, and that 4 hour is going to be the first thing to tip you off on whether or not the trend is changing. And what did you see here? Now, Chainlink lost a 4 hour here, and notice how well. Now, trends don't necessarily just have to be uptrends. Trends can also be downtrends. Okay, now this went into like a mini downtrend, but look at how well it got resisted off of that 4 hour 21 EMA. Like, it was like a little dream here. Anyone who took the short and was scalping, like, that was a lot of money to be made there just on scalps. Okay, and that's what signatures, finding little mini signatures on, various chart really does for you. It can be very profitable if you're willing to invest the time. So, Chainlink, once again, we managed to take out that 4 hour 21 EMA to the upside, but once again, we lost it swiftly here. So I do believe that this is going to go into like a mini consolidation, at the very least, that's what I'll be, gunning for. As things stand, we're also about to get a bearish TK cross right here. You can see the Kijun and that Tenkin sort of converging there. I will be anticipating a cross if this 4 hour candle has to meet with resistance and we close once again underneath that 21 EMA as well as that 10 SMA. Okay, we start closing over there. I think this cross will be solidified, okay, at which point there may be another retest of this region right here at around $10.43. But as things stand, it's going to be an if this, then that. I want to see how this 4 hour candle closes, which closes in about 45 minutes, so not too long. If we can close over the 21 EMA and 10 SMA, I think we move back up again. If we close underneath, then I'll be watching for how price reacts off of that 21 EMA once again, because notice what it did here, right? We had that little mini downtrend that was established. So we could very well see something very similar here if we start using 21 EMA as overhead resistance. Okay, but as far as this stands right now, I think Chainlink it's like in a mini 4 hour consolidation. Okay, I will be concerned if and only if we start losing this wick low right here. This wick low is sitting at around $10.26. We start losing that to the downside, I will be anticipating a further move to the downside. The next level is only coming in at $9.67. Okay, as far as overhead resistance goes, for Chainlink to actually see bullish continuation, it is the same region that I've been looking at now. Okay, $11. $11 is that main region that I'll be looking for Chainlink to live over. I also want to see how we've been performing relative to that 12 hour. And yeah, the 12 hour too. 12 hour is actually not looking too, it's not looking too shabby. We took out the 10 SMA, we've opened and closed over that 10 SMA now. Consecutive candle body opens over. So that is promising. The 10 SMA is over the 21 EMA, so we have that bullish crossover setup that is still intact. Bullish TK cross. This could swing either way, okay? This could swing either way. It's a very, it's in a mini consolidation, but I think that if Chainlink starts living over $11, guys, I think that's going to be a first tell. What I'll be looking for at the very least to figure out whether the bulls are in control, I will actually be giving more importance to the 12 hour time frame because it appears $11 in the 4 hour time frame is a bit choppy, and I do think that it is a major level. I'll be looking for how price closes relative to $11 in the 12 hour. Okay, now we did not see consecutive candle body closes over that region. We saw, okay, one close here, second close, but this was like a very doji indecision candle, right? Only for the next candle to lose $11 very, very, very swiftly. So I want to see healthy candle closes over that $11 region for me to really figure out whether the bulls are in control. That's what I'll be looking for. Okay, but now this is what Chainlink USDT is up to, and this is all I have for you for today. With this, guys, trade safely, trade stress-free, trade the mango way, trade the easy way. Ciao.